Welcome to the AEN Stories channel.
I never wanted a smart baby monitor. I wanted the old school radio kind that hisses like a seashell and tells you two things, asleep or crying. But then Lily was born and asleep or crying didn't cover reflux, or the weird snorts newborns make that hit you like a heart attack at 2 a.m. Anna did the research and ordered a Wi-Fi one with an app and night vision and background audio that kept playing even if your phone screen turned off. It came with a peel and stick mount and a smiling cartoon owl on the box. We set it up in an afternoon like we were installing a conscience. It was, I have to admit, useful. My parents could check in if they were babysitting, and Anna's folks loved the way the little green wave pulsed when Lily cried. We shared the login because the app only allowed one family account, and I'm a sucker for the sentence unlimited devices. We didn't think about what unlimited meant. Our house is a small 3-bedroom on a cul-de-sac where everyone mows on Saturdays and puts their trash cans out like they're trying to win a prize for alignment. There's a chalked hopscotch on our driveway so faded it looks like a memorial. Inside, we've got the usual, photos on a stairway gallery wall that make it seem like we're happier than any given Tuesday, a couch with a sunburned arm, a kitchen with mismatched mugs and the sharpest knives someone can buy at a big box store. We're not special. We're the kind of family that eats rotisserie chicken on paper plates and feels virtuous about the baby carrots. The night everything got loud, it started quiet. Wednesday. Midweek is when the routines hold us upright. Lily had her bath at 6, she's at that stage where a washcloth is both hilarious and a weapon, then milk, then goodnight moon and a voice that I swear the book says to use. She doesn't care about the mouse or the quiet old lady whispering hush. She cares about the rhythm. The two of us anchoring her to sleep. At 7:30, I carried her to her crib and patted her back like a small drum until her breaths went long and slow. The monitor's infrared kicked on with that faint alien glow, turning my daughter into a moving constellation. I kissed the top of her head and snuck out. Anna was at the kitchen table with her laptop open to a spreadsheet that looked like a city from above. She does events and sponsorships for a non-profit, the kind of job that pays in flexibility and guilt. I have to finish this deck for tomorrow, she said, not looking up. Can you call your mom and ask if she can come early Sunday? My parents are coming for lunch, it would help. Sure, I said. We were hosting Sunday, my parents, her parents, the whole tender bureaucracy that is a family. Lily's second birthday was in 2 weeks, everyone was pretending to be sane about it. I called my mom while I loaded the dishwasher with the discipline of a man who has finally learned where the Tupperware lids live. She answered on the second ring with a breathless hello? Of someone who has never gotten over the thrill that phones can tell you who's calling. I can come at 9 on Sunday, she said before I asked. I want to get the fruit salad right. Last time I didn't have the good melon. The good melon? I said. You know what I mean, she said. How's my girl? Asleep, I said, and she made that little sound, the one that is a prayer and a brag. Thanks for coming early. I like being needed, she said. I won't be in the way. I'll bring my phone charger. The baby monitor app is eating my battery. I had the background sound on all day yesterday. She laughed like it was a quirk of the universe. Turn that off, I said. Settings, background audio, off. I'll try, she said. But I like hearing her little snores. Those aren't hers, I said. That's me. We said goodnight. I put the plates in the rack the wrong way on purpose to see if Anna would fix them. She did, smiling without a word, which felt like a private joke and a warning sign. I don't know when I started measuring our marriage by those adjustments, the way she vacuumed before company and I vacuumed after. The way I folded towels like I was filing paperwork and she rolled them like we lived in a spa. We had Lily now. Everything had a purpose. Some days, that felt like a mercy, some days, a sentence. By 9:30, Anna had closed her laptop and poured herself a small glass of wine. I took a shower that felt like a negotiation, hot then cool then hot again. We met on the couch like people who have trained for this by watching other people do it on TV. A show, a second glass, our feet touching, our eyes darting to our phones whenever a vibration hummed against the cushion. The monitor sat on my phone's lock screen with that comforting green squiggle. Everything could be simple if you let it. At 10, the doorbell rang. It made both of us jump in the upright way you do when your body is on a schedule. Anna frowned at the time. Who? I stood up and peered through the peephole because I'm still my father's son. It was her mother, Beth, holding a grocery bag like a flag. I opened the door. "I know it's late," she said, breezing in, "but I was at the store and they had those yogurt pouches Lily likes on sale, and if you say no to a sale like that you might as well hand your checkbook to the robber." "Hi, Mom," Anna said, amused. "You could have left them on the porch. And let raccoons learn about probiotics?" "No thank you." She kissed Anna's cheek, kissed mine in the air, and went to the kitchen like she lived here. Which, to be fair, she almost does. Beth has the energy of a person who has never sat through a full episode of anything. She put the yogurt in the fridge, washed her hands with the kind of vigor that makes you wonder what she touched on the way here, and turned toward the hall in the way of grandmothers who think doors are suggestions. "Is my baby asleep?" "Don't wake her," Anna said, not quite pleading. "I'll just look," Beth said, and here's the thing, when a grandmother says that, they mean it. But look is a broad verb. Through the nursery door, I heard a whisper of air movement, the hum of the sound machine we bought on the advice of an internet stranger. I followed Beth and stood in the doorway to make sure the ritual was respected. She peered into the dark, her face rearranging into the softness it keeps for sleeping children. "Oh," she said. "It's the same every generation makes in a dim room." She stepped back and gestured like the Pope blessing a crowd, and we let the door ease shut. "That app," she said in the hallway. "It's a miracle and a menace. Today I was at bridge and I heard for 10 minutes straight what I thought was a baby with a cold and it turns out it was your father eating cashews." We laughed the way you laugh when you agree and disagree at the same time. Beth took her phone out and looked at the lock screen like it was misbehaving. "I'm telling you," she said, tapping, "this thing, oh. Look at that. There she is. I'll keep it on while I drive home." "Don't," Anna said. "Mom." "I'm kidding," Beth said, "maybe." She left in a flurry, throwing over her shoulder a story about a neighbor's mailbox war and a complaint about the quality of cucumbers. The house recalibrated. The quiet came back like a visitor. Anna looked at me, and I looked at her, and for a second we were the people who used to sit up too late eating cereal from mugs. Then Lily coughed, the gentle kind, and the moment stepped aside to let duty through. At 10:30, Anna said she had to run an email out before she forgot. 10 minutes, she said, holding up both hands like a traffic cop. "I'll be in the office." "Do you need me?" I asked. "You can start the dishwasher," she said. "I love you for it." She went down the hall to the little bedroom we turned into a home office when we realized we could pretend we were still the people who had ambitions. I did the dishes and wiped the counter and stood in the kitchen listening to the house settle. I was halfway through setting the coffee for the morning when my phone buzzed. A FaceTime from my mom. I almost didn't answer because it was late. I did answer because she never calls me twice in a row unless someone's bleeding. When her face popped up, the camera angle was the one where the phone is too close and you're looking up her nose and your own childhood at the same time. "Michael," she said, "no hello. Are you listening to the monitor?" I glanced at the lock screen, green wave pulsing, all serene. "Yeah," I said. "She's asleep." "Open it," she said. "What?" "Open it," she said again, in a voice that had lost its sugar. "Now." I swiped and the app bloomed into the night vision gray. Lily, a sweet lump, face half buried in the stuffed rabbit she's had since she had a head. The green waveform gently jittered. Background audio, on. I put the phone to my ear and listened past the white noise and the house hum and heard voices. At first it sounded like the audio going weird, the way these things sometimes pick up a neighbor's baby monitor or a bad radio station. Then the words resolved into English and into a tone I recognized at a frequency I didn't. It was Anna. In the monitor audio. "No, he's in the kitchen," she was saying, a whisper worn into a groove by familiarity. "I can't talk long." Another voice, male, thinner through the compression, came back, "I just wanted to hear you." The world did a thing I have only felt twice, once when my father called after midnight when I was 22. And again when they put Lily on my chest and said her name like a miracle and a joke. Time slipped, then grabbed the edge, then slipped again. I pressed the phone to my ear hard enough to feel the case. "How did you?" I started. My mom's face was still on my screen because I had not hung up on her. Her eyes were not angry, they were frightened and sad in the way I have tried to keep her from ever needing to be. "I opened the app," she said. "I was going to watch her sleep. You know how I am. It was just there. I didn't go looking." "I know," I said automatically, and that was true. If there is one person in my life who has never gone looking for trouble, it is my mother. Trouble arrives, she sets a place for it and feeds it because hospitality is her only weapon. On the monitor, Anna's voice continued, thread thin. "No, not tomorrow. He has meetings. I can't just," a laugh that wasn't humor but recognition. "I know what we said. I miss you, too." The male voice was a smear. "Do you think about me there?" "In our house," she said, gentle and chiding. "Stop. Don't be." I pulled the phone away from my ear like it had bitten me. I wanted to invent a rational explanation because I am the kind of person who believes things have reasons, even the bad things. I wanted to say the monitor had picked up a podcast, or the neighbor, or something the wires had made up for fun. But I recognized the cadence of Anna when she's with someone who believes they deserve her softness. "Where are you?" I asked into the void of the FaceTime. "Mom, where are you?" "In my kitchen," she said, bewildered, as if the geography mattered. "Should I come over? Should I?" "I don't know," I said, and I didn't. That was the worst part. I have a toolkit for everything: broken fence, backed up sink, toddler tantrums. I do not have a tool that rearranges reality without taking us all down with it. "Michael," she said, and her voice had the rare weight of an instruction. "Hang up with me and go into whatever room you need to go into." I hung up with my mother. I stood in the kitchen and looked down the hall at the office door, cracked open 2 inches. The light leaked like a secret. I thought about Lily, her mouth open and damp, the way her hair curls at the back of her neck like a comma. I thought about how my feet were supposed to move and refused to until I told them to in words. I walked down the hall and pushed the office door with my knuckles like a person testing if the room is occupied. Anna sat at the desk with her laptop open to a fake spreadsheet, the top tab read Q2 budget, but behind it, minimized, a FaceTime window glowed with the silhouette of a man whose face the camera had turned to a puzzle. She had her phone on the desk, the monitor app open, live audio from Lily's room pumping into it. The monitor base in the nursery was doing what we bought it to do, capturing the sounds around our child. Anna was not in the nursery. She was in the office. Our house is small. Voices travel. The convenient microphone was the monitor, streaming. The app on our phones was the receiver. The pipeline was built by people who wanted us to sleep better. She looked up when the door clicked. In the half-second before she scrambled, I watched an entire life ride across her face, not guilt, not yet, but a ledger calculating in real time how much truth to hand me. She reached for the laptop like it was a curtain. "Who is that?" I asked, calm because anything else would wake our daughter. "Who are you talking to on our baby monitor?" "Michael," she said, and it was my name and a plea and a reprimand. "We can." The laptop screen stuttered and froze on the man's cheekbone, then the call noise blooped off as she hit a key without looking. The office darkened by degrees as the screens went black. The shape of us stayed. "Who is he?" I said, because questions give structure and I needed a scaffold. She swallowed. "A friend." "Wrong answer," I said, unemotional as a judge. She closed her eyes like she could organize the words if she didn't have to deal with my face. "His name is Josh." "Do I know Josh?" "No," she said, too quick. He comes into the museum sometimes with his boss. We talked." "You came in here to call him," I said. "And you opened the monitor app so you could, what? Hear if I was moving around?" She shook her head, a small, furious no at the wrong accusation. "No," she whispered, so quiet I could barely hear. "So I could hear if Lily woke up. I mean, yes, also that. But, Michael." "My mother heard you," I said. "On her phone. She opened the app to check on Lily and she heard you." Anna's mouth parted in a way that would be funny if we were different people in a different room. "Oh my God. I didn't set this up," I said. "I didn't snoop. I didn't do anything except hand my mother a login a year ago." Her hand went to her forehead, a reflex. "I know." We stood in the little room with the printer and the boxes of holiday decorations and the diplomas that no longer mean what we thought they would, and the house suddenly felt like a place where the walls had microphones. In the nursery, down the hall, the sound machine hummed on like the inside of a seashell. Lily exhaled, a small trumpet. "Michael," Anna said, after too long. Can we talk about this?" "In the living room," I said. "With everyone." "What?" she said, almost laughed the way that word can be used to stall. "Everyone," I repeated. "Right now." "Your parents aren't here," she said, making an argument out of fact. "Your mother is on her way," I said, and saw the calculation click. "I'm calling my dad." "And your father?" "You can't," she started. "I can," I said gently. "And if I don't, it'll be Thursday forever. I can't live in Wednesday." She put both hands on the desk and bowed her head. I watched the muscles in her back shift under the thin sweater she wears when she wants to be held. "What about Lily?" she said. "She's asleep," I said, and the monitor app on my phone made a soft, impartial whoosh as it updated the timestamp to just now. I called my father first. He answers phone calls like he answers doors. "Ready. Michael." "Can you and Mom come now?" I said, efficient. "It's important." He didn't waste time. "We're already in the car," he said, which meant my mother had called him a minute after we hung up. 7 minutes. Anna's parents live 10 minutes away if you hit the one light. Her father, Tom, picked up on the second ring with the yes of a man born suspicious and softened by grandchildren. "You should come over," I said. "Beth was here a half hour ago, she heard, she knows. We need to talk." "What's going on?" he said. "I'm not going to explain it twice," I said. "Please." He sighed in a way that belongs to men who have spent their lives looking for fairness and finding barter instead. "We're on our way." Anna sat on the couch, hands folded in her lap like she was about to teach Lily how to pray. I stood near the bookshelf because I didn't know what else to do with my body. The house's particular quiet felt like a thing you could lean against and then fall through. A car pulled up out front, my parents', and then another, Anna's. The front door opened not because we're a walk-right-in family but because that's what you do when you've been told your child has stepped into a room called trouble. They all came in at once, a flurry of older people in raincoats and shoes they don't take off fast enough. My dad went straight to me like he was triangulating. My mother went to the hallway as if Lily were a fire she needed to check again. Anna's parents stood together, two halves of a country we were all born in by mistake. "What's happened?" Beth said, voice too loud for a house with a sleeping baby. Anna lifted a hand, palm up. "Sit," she said, and there was a teacher in that voice I hadn't heard since she ran new volunteer orientations at the non-profit and made anxious people feel like they'd been expected and were already late. They sat. We didn't. I held my phone in my hand like a prop that could subpoena a room. The monitor app was still open, the little waveform a metronome for a kind of speech I didn't want to give. I opened the app, my mother said to fill the silence. "I was just checking, because I do, you know me," and I heard, she looked at Anna like at a child about to run into a street, not like at a woman who had built her own. "It was me," Anna said. "It was my voice. I was talking to someone. On the phone." Through the monitor, Tom said slowly, like a person repeating instructions to make sure he gets them right before he refuses. Anna nodded. "I used it. I shouldn't have. I used it because I could hear Lily, and I didn't want to go outside. I thought," she swallowed. "I thought no one was listening." My father made a sound that in our family means stop being cute. "Who were you talking to?" he said. "To a man," Anna said. "His name is Josh." Beth closed her eyes and made a small motion with her lips that could have been a prayer or a curse. Tom leaned back, hands on his knees. My mother looked at me, not at Anna. My father kept his eyes on Anna like he was doing math he didn't enjoy. "Is he?" Tom started, then stopped. "How long?" "A few months," Anna said. She said it like she was handing out a sentence measured in calendars because it's easier than saying since I started to feel like I was drowning. You didn't think to turn off the app, my mother said, not unkindly, and I wanted to hug her for finding the one part of this mess that could be solved by a slider. No, Anna said, and it was both honest and stupid and I loved her for saying it and hated that she'd needed to. Michael? My father said, and I realized everyone was waiting for me to be the man I have trained on being since I was old enough to be told to take out the trash without a reminder. I didn't know, I said. Until tonight. I didn't go looking. I looked at each of them like the judge instructing a jury not to consider things they had already decided. I don't want anyone in this house thinking we were spying. We weren't. We're not that family. We know that, my mother said. I'm the one who pressed the wrong button. You pressed the right button, I said, and she put her hand over her mouth because she is a polite woman. Beth turned to Anna, and my heart broke a little for both of them because I have seen this script before in other houses with other names. Sweetheart, Beth said, very quietly. Is this what you want? Anna looked at me while she answered her mother. No, she said. And yes. I don't know anymore. Tom set his elbows on his knees and pressed his steepled fingers against his lips. We are not going to have a shouting match, he said. It was unnecessary. We are not a shouting family. If anything, our vice is the opposite. Where's Lily? My mother asked for the third time, and I understood, she needed to speak the name that meant we would not burn the house down. Sleeping, I said, and the monitor confirmed it, last check, 1 minute ago. We could have done a dozen things then. We could have asked for details, the undignified hunger people have for other people's mistakes. We could have asked what his last name was, where he worked, whether he knew about me, whether he had a family he was pretending not to injure. We could have asked to see Anna's phone, the 21st century version of asking to see someone's heart. Instead, we sat in the living room like mannequins of belief and didn't move. The house hummed. The fridge motor kicked on like a sigh. I'm going to take a bag, Anna said finally, standing up and smoothing nothing. I'll stay at my sister's tonight. We will talk tomorrow, she said to me. After breakfast. Not before coffee. It sounded like a punchline, and no one laughed. I won't take Lily out of her bed, she said to my mother, and my mother cried once, silently, then tightened her mouth like the end of a string. Beth started to rise. Do you need? No, Anna said. I know where my things are. She went down the hall. We all listened to the sound of the zipper on the overnight bag we use when we pretend we can still go away for the weekend. She came back with it on her shoulder, the smallest sound in the world. She stopped and looked at all of us like a jury. She looked at me last. I'm sorry, she said, and I believed her because she is sorry. That isn't the question. When the door closed, my father let out a breath like he'd been underwater. My mother went to the hallway and stood looking toward the nursery like the sun rises there. Tom stared at a painting on our wall he has always hated. Beth picked up a coaster and put it down and set it straight and put it down again. We will not pick sides, she announced, which meant she'd already picked all of them and knew it wouldn't matter. I'm going to sleep on the couch, I said to no one and everyone. My father put his hand on my shoulder like a blessing and a push. Call me in the morning, he said. Early. After they left, the house inflated then sank. The quiet did its trick where it paints itself a color, tonight, the color of a bruise. I walked down the hall to Lily's room because it's the only room that tells the truth is happening in real time. She was on her back, mouth open like every song I've ever liked. I sat on the nursery floor with my back against the glider and listened to the monitor hum itself into dumbness. The camera's little I was lit, oblivious. I looked right at it and said out loud, we're not doing this again. I slid the switch on the bass to off. The house didn't collapse. It just stopped narrating. In the morning, I made coffee and watched it drip like it owed me a confession. Lily woke at 6 because she is not moved by our tragedies. I changed her, and she wiggled like a fish and laughed at nothing, a sound that should be bottled and sprayed at the walls of every courtroom. We ate banana pancakes because that is what we do on Thursdays, and I would not let the day steal that from her. Anna came over at 9:30. She had a paper bag with muffins from the place she loves that I do not. She put it on the counter like an apology. "Can we?" she started. "Kitchen," I said. "We'll keep doors open." She sat at the table where we have paid bills and written Christmas cards and filled out forms for daycare. I sat across from her and put my hands around my mug because otherwise they wouldn't know where to be. "I don't want to tell the long version," she said. "It sounds exonerating when it's just complicated." "Okay," I said. My new word. "I've been lonely," she said, knocking the air out of me with a sentence I have been trying not to hear for 2 years. "Not for you," she added fast, then winced because that sounded worse. For being desired outside of diapers and logistics. For being seen as a person who can still mess up and not only break something. He made me feel." She trailed off and shook her head. "You know how this sounds." "It sounds like a reason," I said. "Not an excuse." "Yes," she said, grateful and ruined. "Do you love him?" I asked because questions are the only thing I know how to wield without making a mess. "No," she said. Then, quieter, "I could have, if I let it. I didn't. Which also doesn't count." "Do you want us?" I asked. She looked at Lily, who was smashing blueberries into art on her tray. "I want Lily to have a mother and father who can be in the same room without looking down, then up, then away." "That's not an answer," I said, kindly as I could. "I want us," she said. "If us includes me telling you things I'm ashamed of without you weaponizing them later. If us includes you telling me when you're lonely, before you stop being lonely with someone else." I stared at the table until the wood grain became a map. "I didn't know I was lonely," I said. "I know," she said. "That's the meanest part of it." We talked for 2 hours, the kind of talk you think belongs in movies until you realize movies only have to make it to credits. Real life asks you back to the table. We said words like counseling and boundaries in excess. We made a list. We pulled the monitor base out of Lily's room and put it in a drawer we can both reach. We changed the password on the app. We unshared it with our parents, and my mother texted me a crying emoji and then a thumbs up, and I loved her twice as much in that instant. We did not promise anything. We booked a therapy appointment for Monday. We agreed to tell both sets of parents the version that protects Lily's sense of a safe house. We agreed not to be noble. No moving out in a rush, I said. No punishing each other with absence. We agreed to keep the living room unsacred. The kitchen is where truth lives. The kitchen has stains and chairs that know our weight. In the weeks that followed, we were two people who had seen the back of the tapestry and were trying to decide if we like it better flipped. Some days, I made the bed with a precision that should alarm a doctor. Some nights, Anna stood at the sink and cried so quietly I could only tell because her shoulders stilled. Lily turned to and smeared frosting in a circle on her high-chair tray and sang nonsense to her balloons. Our parents came over with casseroles and advice and presents. My father fixed the wobbly chair because it was what he could fix. Beth cleaned the microwave because anger needs a job. We used the monitor less. We lowered our voices for us, not for devices. Sometimes, late, when the house was asleep and the app's little green wave lay flat, I would open it and not listen. I would watch the grayscale blur of our daughter breathing. I would think about how we built a pipeline from her room to the world so we could hear the thing we love most, and we forgot that pipes carry everything that fits. One Sunday, months later, we sat on my parents' porch after dinner. Lily was on the lawn teaching a doll how to be alive. The evening hummed. My mother brought out slices of cake she had cut too big on purpose. My father asked about the sump pump like it was his grandson. Anna sat close enough that our knees touched and pretended that's how we always sit. I turned off background audio, my mother announced with pride, holding up her phone like a hunter with a kill. I only check when I'm invited. "Thank you," Anna said, and reached over and took my mother's hand, and in that gesture I saw a thing no app can stream, the quiet transfer of something trustworthy. My father leaned back in his chair and made the sound of a man who believes in seasons. He looked at me, then at Anna, then at Lily, and I felt it, the possibility of small salvations. At night, I still wake sometimes at 3, my body tuned to a station that isn't playing. I listen. The house hums. Lily sighs in her room. The phone face down on the nightstand doesn't light up because it is not always our friend. I don't believe in devices anymore. I believe in rooms. I believe in the volume of a voice you choose and the distance it covers. I believe in not being overheard by accident. I don't know how our story ends. The therapist says endings are just chapters that forgot to introduce themselves properly. Maybe that's true. Maybe we're drafting a new outline and the old one keeps getting under the door. What I know is this: no one set a trap. No one spied. We bought a thing to keep a baby safe, and it told the truth and we didn't like it. It told my mother first, which is either the world's cruelties lined up correctly or its kindness is misfiring in an honest way. It told me next, and I walked into a small room where a bigger life waited. We sat in a living room with people who taught us table etiquette and decided to put the conflict on the table and not in the pantry. Sometimes, when I walk past the junk drawer where the monitor base lives now, I stop and touch it like it's a relic. It's not. It's plastic and wire and a little green wave that draws you a heartbeat of a room. It's what we do with a room that matters. It's who we invite in and what we say out loud and what we choose to keep in our pockets. It's turning off a thing and turning toward a person. It's not fate. It's a choice. It's a volume button. It's the difference between a whisper and a secret. And it's a family, ours, learning where the microphones are, and deciding to speak anyway. Thank you for listening my story. If you want more raw, real, and gripping stories like this one, subscribe to the A.E.N. Stories channel. Your support keeps these stories alive.